Dude, I don't know about you, but my feet are so soaked.
My feet aren't. I got Kinetrex on.
That should be a paid ad.
Yeah, no kidding. For sure.
I know, that's what I always say about Jetboil. One of these days I'm going to send him a bill.
Yeah, I wore muck boots yesterday, but I was so sore by the time I went to bed.
Oh, I bet. You've been running your butt off to get this thing ready, though.
Yeah, I came up early yesterday and, just did the little stuff like to hang the coon in the tree. And
Does the coon got a name?
Does the coon have a name?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't think so. We need to think of one, though.
Should.
We ordered it just so the club had one, because it was always so hard to find a coon. And then we were like, oh, we're going to stop using a live coon just to get... So we didn't have any worries, because we do these on 4 service. And
right.
You never know if the wrong bunny hugger wants to show up and give you grief. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they don't realize there's permits and stuff.
Yeah, I know. It's just not worth the headache. So we just got a stuffed one. The dogs don't know the difference.
Yeah, right.
It's 25 feet up in a tree. So so I got up here and did that and put up blinds for the judges so the dogs wouldn't run to the judges through the meadow.
Yeah, that was pretty slick. I haven't seen, I know a couple trials that we go to, they'll hide, but you set up like a partition there. That worked pretty good.
Was in the middle of a meadow, so it was either that or drag a lot of brush in.
Right.
So the other side had a tree and stuff, so I didn't have to do anything there. But
well, I like that here you can see those dogs come in from a long ways off.
I think they said 530 yards.
Yeah,
so,
you get to see the home stretch. It's pretty neat.
And a lot happens in that home stretch too. And with
no kidding.
This year, the whole thing with Brad setting up the GPS collars on the TV and everything, you can see the dogs leapfrogging out there. It was a lot of fun.
So probably better break it down. We're at the Prineville field trial.
Yeah.
And we're talking with Wes York. How are you tied into this hound thing? You've been in this forever.
Yeah, I was born into it. My grandpa was Kenneth Craddock, and he was a hound hunter from the time he was a kid too. His grandpa was a houndsman in Oklahoma, and they were pretty much barefoot, dirt floor shack, Okies, and his grandpa was actually like a deputy sheriff and just kind of did whatever it sounded like in Oklahoma, but he was a fox hunter. So we're like 6 generations,
Yeah. Well, he ran dogs, but he field trialed a lot too, right?
My grandpa loved field trialing,
and greyhounds and
everything. We've been involved in anything that had to do with hounds.
So I remembered meeting him at Prineville when you guys used to have it. I can't remember the ranch name, but you guys had it down in the valley.
Yeah, we had it on the Trout Creek Nye Ranch.
Yeah.
That was right after you'd bought out Tiny, I believe, and we're starting to sell some stuff here and there.
Yeah, you knew Tiny before, huh?
I knew most people. I met a kid here. I actually met him when I was hunting with my Uncle Ted last year. We ran into him in the woods, and he introduced himself. His name was Connor Bryant, and he was telling us, my great-grandpa was Virgil Stuklick. And I was like, yeah, I used to hunt with Virgil Stuklick all the time. He was one of my grandpa's good buddies.
Right.
He's like, really? He's generations down to where he doesn't even know some of the stuff we've done.
Isn't that nuts? And you guys just connected?
Yeah.
That was here?
Well, he came here today, so we got to talk some more about it. Awesome. And Virgil has passed, 8-9 years ago, but this kid's grandparents were here with him, and so I met Virgil's daughter. And,
that's cool.
People, yeah, so that's one cool thing.
Where was Virgil out of?
Virgil, he lived in a lot of different places. He was, I think, California. I know he lived over in the valley because he hunted with Mark Boyer's dad.
Oh, yeah.
And when he passed away, he was living in Huntington. The whole time I knew him, he lived in Huntington, Oregon, down on the Snake River. And he had some good field trial dogs, too. That's how we got to know him and invited him to our bear camps and campouts and stuff. And he'd always just show up, and he had nice dogs.
That's cool. Because you've been doing hunting and field trialing, though. Your family was real serious.
My entire life, yeah. My grandpa really got serious about field trial, and he came to win. He didn't come to just of course he liked to hang out and relax, but he showed up with intentions of winning.
And he did.
And he did for a long time, yeah. Yeah.
A lot
back in the day he really did, before there for a while, they banned the greyhounds. So that pretty much pushed him out.
Right.
Because he ran greyhound crosses, and
So I think that year I showed up, it was my first year coming to Prineville trial,
and
it was his last year. I want to say that he brought dogs.
I don't think so.
No?
No, I think a couple more
It
years.
was all the greyhounds is all he had with him when
that's
I
all.
met him.
When he got too old to hunt, field trial, he could watch it.
Yeah.
And, he really enjoyed that roll cage competition because he could throw out a lawn chair and watch the whole thing.
Right, just hang out.
Yeah.
So what, like, because I know field trials, like, we talk about them a lot, and they have the UKC trials, and then they have, like, these.
Yeah.
Which, it's awesome because you got your kids here.
Yeah.
There's kids running everywhere, running around like screaming banshees all day.
It's the best thing in the world for them, They're out playing baseball right now.
Right?
So
I know, and it's, honey, don't listen to this, but I don't even know what time it is, but they probably should be in bed. It's different, though. Like, the stories I hear of the trials back in the day, like, it just seems like it's different. Like, the interaction, do you feel like that people are still pretty tied to the trials?
I think it's more for the social aspect of it now more than it was the actual trial back then. Like, back then,
you went to win.
You went to win. Everybody, even the hound guys, kept a field trial dog.
Right.
They might go to a field trial and they'd only go there with one dog to where, we show up with our hounds and sign up 5 or 6.
Right.
Give them something to do for the weekend. Yeah. It's more about donating to a club or a cause now than it is, the actual winning and stuff like that. I mean, the winning and stuff helps, you throw the shiny belt buckles and stuff like that. And some people like that more than they do the cash prize.
Well, the buckles are big now. Like, everybody's digging them.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it changed. We were kind of on the downfall of field trials and stuff. People weren't showing up quite as much. And actually, Charlie Johnston talked us into getting buckles for ours the first time. Actually, he bought them.
Yeah.
And he couldn't even show up. He bought us the buckles for our field trial. And geez, we had, I don't even know, I think like 120 dogs for the field trial.
That's wild.
Here today, we did really good.
How many dogs?
We had 93.
I will say, that's a chunk considering, like, I don't think any of us were planning for this weather.
No, we have coastal spring weather.
It's crazy.
In Central Oregon right now.
Yeah, so. I'm soaked to the bone.
Yeah.
My kids have been running around like, you don't dare put dry clothes on them.
Yeah.
Because they're just going to be wet
and they don't care
in 10
anyways,
minutes.
So.
No, they're having a blast.
So
it's this a good turnout. I was really surprised. Like,
yeah, it's good. And there was a lot of people who are usually here that didn't come that I'm guessing because they looked at the weather before the weekend and decided it wasn't worth it. But it wasn't too bad. I guess it's supposed to be worse tomorrow, though. So hopefully it can hold off for us to get that bear drag. Brad said he thinks it's going to take 3 hours to run, and I think it could rain out.
Yeah.
In 3 hours. So.
Well, it's crazy. Like, I was looking at Brad's setup, and I'm going to try to paint a picture for everyone listening, but he's got his motorhome down here, and he's got a TV in the side of it, which is pretty slick. Like, I'm a hillbilly, obviously. You see my camp.
You got a tent with a loose canopy laying
we got
on top of it.
3-man tent and a blue tarp and a rig box holding it up. And that's me and the 2 kids for the weekend. Brad's got this big gnarly motorhome. That thing is sick.
Yeah, it's cool.
And then he's got this TV mounted on the side of it, and we've hooked it up using the Garmin app and his Alpha 200. And you guys are, what, you got 20 collars that you got?
Yeah, we have 20 collars hooked up to it. 2 red, 2 blue, 2 of every color for 10 dogs, so that if one collar hasn't made it back, somebody can grab the other one for the race, and we're not waiting on collars.
But then we're sitting at the tree, and everybody can watch the race. Like, the track's already laid out. You can see it. And then each dog, they're not leaving track, so it's not like a spaghetti mess.
Yeah.
But you can watch them roll around, and it's kind of cool. Like, everybody can just stand there and be involved instead of wondering and glued to their own Garmin. It's right there, and it's like watching a horse race.
And with the pouring down rain, you can sit under Brad's awning until the dogs start coming in, and then walk down.
He should charge space rent. Man. He could pay that thing.
Would have done all right.
Yeah, it's crazy to think like that's where we're at now. Or that's where we're at with the technology.
Oh yeah,
and how it shifted to like just the includement of everybody. Like, everybody is involved. There's kids running dogs. There's wives running dogs.
Yeah.
There's support staff. Felicia's been running like crazy.
She has been ever since we met each other.
I know. You lucked out, man. She's a good egg.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been a good day. I'm wore out, and I'm ready to
kick back
for the rest of the night and hopefully sleep a little better.
Yeah, no kidding. We'll sleep hard tonight.
Yeah, I think I will. I will for about 4 hours probably, and then I'll wake up. But
So, since you've been hunting, I mean, it's hard because like I got into it way later in life, so
yeah,
I kind of just liked what I got into,
yeah,
and then I found something else, and I kind of shifted, and I liked it. But like you were exposed to all of it early on.
yeah.
What game animal like just really grabbed you and like that's what you wanted to do?
It was catching bears when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know, and I still feel the same way. I love bobcat hunting, and well, I like hunting anything, but the being able to throw on some jeans and a t-shirt, and, have kind of a bear hunting's a lot lax, and it's so much more unpredictable.
Right.
You don't know what you're going out there for, and I mean all of it is to an extent, but you don't know, with bear hunting, you're gonna get a run or a bay or
So you got Nikes on or boxing
a
gloves?
30-second race or a 7-hour race.
Yeah.
So that's what I like about it.
And you guys did a bunch of that around here, like this kind of country?
Yeah, we hunted around here. We spent most of our time when I was a kid outside of John Day hunting Murders Creek. We had bear camps with more dogs than this, Adam.
Really?
Well, yeah, back then we didn't have the tracking equipment and stuff when I was a kid, so it was turn the dogs loose and haul ass.
Right.
And we went radio to radio, so if we did lose dogs, there was enough other guys hunting the same area, they'd
Just
call us
relay.
up. They'd be like, "Craddock, you got dogs running over here?" "Yep, thanks." We'd speed down there, and
That's
everybody
cool.
helped each other out, and we just put like what radio channel we were running on our dogs. So when somebody else that
Yeah.
wasn't with us found them, they'd be like, "Oh, channel 2, let's call them real quick."
You don't see that much anymore. As
No, I
somebody
don't.
who has stamped a pile of nameplates, I don't stamp them now. We have a really cool machine and awesome employees that do that.
Mm-hmm.
But that was like pretty standard. CB9, CB
Yeah.
whatever, they'd put it on
Do
there.
not pick up dog. Call my grandpa said, "Do not pick up dog. Call Craddock on channel 2 or Crawdad." That was his CB.
Crawdad.
Call Crawdad on channel 2.
Nice.
And every caller had a dangling name tag like that hanging from it. He'd have his nameplate on there, but before we would go, because we were camped out, no one could call the number on the name tags.
Right.
So that's what he had dangling, so people would see it
Oh, that makes
when
sense.
we were out camped out.
I totally get it because I don't know how many times I was looking for dogs.
Well, the
They
Forest
got picked
Service
up and took to town, and like nobody,
Yeah.
you're out. You're not going to get a phone call.
Yeah, and the Forest Service would find them and turn on their CB and call us. Back then, they had the same. The technology wasn't.
Oh, I know.
Now it's marine radio and all this FM stuff and
Mhm.
everything. Back then, CB was about as high
High tech.
tech as we got. We had blue boxes
Yeah.
for you, but not very many people had. They were pretty new, and not. We had them for like 3 dogs out of 12 we were running.
Or you'd have one guy with a box and like 6 guys with collars on the frequency.
Yeah, we would have collars for our good dogs, and the stragglers, if they weren't at the tree, somebody'd pick them up on the road and
Right.
bring them to camp, or we'd throw out a coat. Dogs homed a lot better.
So I've said that a bunch, and I still will stand by that 100%. I think we have unknowingly bred a lot of that out of dogs.
Oh, definitely.
Because that was bred for. Like, that is a trait that is truly, I feel like, on the way to being lost.
I don't even think that we knew it was something. But,
No.
if it was a renegade dog, we got rid of it.
Because you'd spend all day looking for a dog.
Exactly.
Instead of hunt.
Yeah. So you never got to see it half the time, what it could do,
And you used to have dogs. I mean, it's crazy. I haven't been in this a long, long time, like 12 years. But the guys that I started hunting with, those dogs, it was kind of the same way. They'd come back. You would definitely, those dogs would home. And I had a blue tick, our first dog, Haley. And that dog would show up within 50 feet of where you dumped her out every time. If she came back, she's right there. And I'll never forget, like, the guys trying to mess with you and throw magnets in your collars. And, she ain't here. It's like, don't lie to me. Like, yeah. I know that dog. I know it's going to be at the tree or it's going to be where I dumped it out.
Yeah, and
now it's like, I feel like it's came from us, like, overhandling in some ways. It's like, okay, we're getting kind of antsy. We're going to go find a better track. Come on.
Yeah, and I'm real bad about that. I'm not much of a cold trailer.
No, because you don't have to now.
I'm about hunting at 20 miles an hour and finding something I can run,
Right.
So that's the difference too in the old timers too. My grandpa, that he loved to sit back and listen to some dogs cold trail
Yeah.
and boo-hoo over the hill, and now I'm like, they're about one long ball away from getting toned back
Yeah,
to the
right.
pickup.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And a lot, I mean, I know I hunt with guys who still really enjoy that and do that too, and I do sometimes.
Yeah.
If I can't find nothing, it's a crappy day, or the day's getting short, and I know it's not going, I'll let them work something.
Oh, for sure. So
But
the dogs that you're running, I mean, are you still running that line of dogs?
yeah, so my grandpa's stuff, my uncle Ted's stuff,
And Ted's
so
been on a couple podcasts
so
if somebody wants to go back and listen.
yeah, so my grandpa Kenneth Craddock was Ted Craddock's older brother.
Mhm.
So, uh, yeah, they had dogs back and forth. My uncle Ted was definitely more the breeder and making his own dogs.
Right.
My grandpa would, if one showed up at the pound, he had a running deal with the pound that if a hound showed up, he went and got it for $75 and tried it out. And if
That's
it,
pricey back then, though, wasn't it?
well, that wasn't that long ago.
Oh, really? It's still hustling.
Maybe 15 years ago or so. But we had it good with the pound. Those pound dogs eat better than our hounds because they'd sell us all the donated food for $5 a bag.
Oh, dang.
We'd go fill up the back of our pickup when
Dang.
we were feeding 20 dogs. So however we could get it, I guarantee they wouldn't do that now.
No way.
They'd be really mad probably if they heard this podcast that they were doing it.
They probably don't listen to this podcast.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I know I'm safe. Well, I don't do it anymore anyways,
Right.
so I'm not worried about it. But yeah, my grandpa, he hunted whatever,
Yeah.
Good dog was a good dog. And he raised puppies, but he would rather have a going dog.
Yeah.
He told me
Just started.
in his later years, and he bobcat hunted a lot. He really did a lot of bobcat hunting and coon hunting before he ever knew there was bear in the woods.
Right.
And he told me that if he had it to do all over again, he would run blue tick walker spayed females only.
I could see that.
Yeah. He said there would have been so much less headache throughout the years if he just ran spayed females blue tick walk.
Yeah.
But they were red bone people though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, all the pictures I have from when I was a kid, there might be a walker dog here and there, but it was 10, 12 red dogs treed under the tree.
Yeah, were they red bones or were they just red dogs? Because red dogs out here are way different.
They started out all red bones.
Yeah.
And I'd have to talk to Uncle Ted more on what line that they were ordering the most. But
were they coming from back east?
Yeah, and I think they probably brought a lot of them with them, from
because they moved
down
from,
in the south. They're from
Oklahoma, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but my grandpa did more of the hunting in Oklahoma because he was, I think, 9 or 10 years older than my Uncle Ted. And they moved over here when my Uncle Ted was a little boy.
Oh, really?
So he didn't get much Okie hunting then, I don't think. So
he was hunting dogs before Ted was even
able
to go do it?
Yeah,
Like,
he told me that when he was a kid, he had a hound that his parents would let him go coon hunting or possum hunting at night. But he said he was scared, so he just wouldn't hunt any further than where he could see the porch light.
Yeah, that's wild.
And killed game.
Right. That's insane. Yeah, that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. He was telling me he had some kind of a cur dog when he was a kid, and his grandpa rolled through horseback with all of his fox dogs through their property. And
really,
I can remember he said his grandpa's dog's name was Whitefoot.
Whitefoot.
And that was supposedly his main dog back then. And he asked him if he'd let him breed Whitefoot to his little cur dog female. He had a one-eyed pup out of it that he taught to sick on people and would tree his cousins with it all the time.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
they're doing that thing down in South Africa with the poachers, man. He would have fit right in.
Oh, yeah.
You could have been on that a bunch of years early.
That was just being a mean little shit, though, But, yeah, he had a lot of good stories, growing up. And, we had a lot of good memories and hunts. Whenever I graduated high school, he talked me into not working for pretty much the year and just hunting with him. And even though I'd hunted my whole life, I learned more that year than I ever could have, hunting on my own. He made me call all the shots.
Really?
As long as he'd been hunting, he's like, I don't know, what would you do? And I did some really stupid stuff, and he'd laugh, and couldn't find a bobcat in a tree to save my life, and he'd go down there with a walking stick and be like, "Well, there it is, right there."
How'd you miss it?
Yeah, it make you feel dumb, but hey, I learned now. Now I'll find an ear or a paw in a tree,
Right.
you know.
That
So
experience, though, I mean, that's different. Like, you can go, I feel like, because I did it a lot. I went with a lot of guys.
yeah,
And you were just there and you were enjoying it. But like that, where he was making you call the shots and you had a
yeah,
safety net there, that's not an opportunity many people get.
yeah,
You either
exactly.
walk in and do it their way or the
But
highway.
he also this was before there was when I was getting out of high school. There still wasn't GPS.
Right.
So when it came to hunting in the snow, when we turned the dogs loose, he turned me loose.
To go with him
Yeah.
and follow him.
So, and I learned a lot that way too, just being out there with the dogs the whole time. So,
That help you, like,
I ruined a lot of races being with those dogs. They're a lot smarter than what you give them credit for.
yeah. How so?
Calling them back on a track. They've already been through there and they made a lose up ahead of you. Well, you find
You find that
you find a
track.
spot that don't have no dogs on it that they'd already figured out the lose, and you call them back
Sure.
and they just run into the spot where they were just at, and cost myself a lot of cats that way. But I learned, just leave them alone. They know more than what you give them credit for.
The hard-earned lessons are the ones that you don't forget.
Oh, for sure. But back on the dogs I have now. So yeah, they do go back to all the family stuff and some of them old red bones. The stuff Uncle Ted really worked hard and created that he's still running too. Here about 10 years ago, I got a dog that actually came from Dewey Walton,
Mm-hmm.
and I bred the purest of the stuff my uncle had. It didn't have any of the newer Walker stuff he'd bred in or anything yet. A dog that was out of his old Sage dog and his old Brick dog, and best a dog in the world. It wasn't one that I would really brag about breeding to, but it's what it was.
Right.
And she was a really nice dog and something different. And I was trying just to get a little bit of running dog in those dogs, just because I liked the way that they
Like track style.
track style.
Yeah.
That's the best way to put it. I liked their track style, and I got the two best dogs I've ever owned out of that, and they're tied up over there right now. They're both coming 8 years old.
Which ones are those?
Boyd and Ava.
Boyd and Ava.
And I have a pup out of Boyd over there, and 4 pups out of Ava over there.
Nice.
And then I have another male that is a half brother to them. It's his dad is one of Stuart Aller's dogs, and I bred
I'm trying to
that back
remember which one. And you don't have to say if you don't
of
want
my
to.
dogs.
No, of Stuart's dog.
I bred to Brock.
Brock.
I bred to Brock twice, and I got 3 pups over there out of him, and I bred to Brock's littermate kid once, and I've got a pup over there out of him too.
Those are his pride and joy, huh?
Yeah, they are.
Brock and Kid. I always hear.
Oh.
Whoa.
I've got some nice dogs out of them.
Roger's screwing up our podcast over here.
It's dinner time over here.
These dogs been quiet this whole time, and then he's got to come over here.
But that's all right.
You got people from all over. They drove all the way up from Nevada.
Yeah, and we got some from California. We got some from Washington.
Right.
We didn't have the California turnout that we usually do, which we knew that they had their water race.
Yeah, they had their championship race
this
down
weekend,
in Galt.
And when we had it, later on, they could all make it. But this weekend, the second weekend of June, is truly the traditional weekend of the Prineville Field Trial.
They'd freeze up here anyway. It's probably 100 degrees down there.
Today, I'm not real happy, I don't know. I was sweating pretty good. They got so humid there for a while.
I know. That's what I was joking around. It's like you get wet and then you throw your coat on. It's like, okay. And all of a sudden you got Florida living in your coat.
And you got rain gear on. So, your sweat stays inside of it. It's like wearing a sweatsuit. So, but I got those dogs and I bred to Stewart stuff. And, it goes back to some of Sonny Turner's old stuff and some of just other good people, Louis Peck's
Yeah,
dogs, and uh, that's something that once I got older, I wanted to search out on my own and
sure.
find kind of what I liked. And when
When
it
did
came,
that happen?
when I decided to do that,
When did you decide? Because I think that's the biggest key I try to drive home with people too, is if you don't know what you want, you're never going to get there. Like, when did you make a conscious decision and kind of know, like, I really like this or I really like that?
I,
What
I
was
started hunting, more on the valley side with the cats, and I truly didn't even know that you could catch a bobcat unless you just got lucky without
right?
snow on the ground. And so I started venturing, more towards the west side of things and seeing dogs over there and what they did. And then later on with that, I think anybody who kind of likes the running style of dogs kind of explored with some of the stuff that was coming from Mike Kemp.
Mm-hmm.
And I never got any dogs from Mike, but I hunted with some dogs that had come from him
Mm-hmm.
and really liked the track style and stuff. And I didn't really want to get rid of my stuff that had had forever.
Right.
So I just started kind of finding the ones that I really liked. And that female that I ended up with that came from Dewey was definitely at 8 months old. She was treeing really good. And
Really.
at a year and a half old, you could catch a bobcat with her by herself. And uh, I really, really liked that. So I had a couple litters of pups out of her, which I still have, and I've bred some other stuff in there. I went through several of them before I
Sure.
got. I knew what I wanted, but it's not that easy to find the
Getting
right
there's
one.
yeah.
And you can't just start getting something. You have to find something that it's what you want, but it also meshes with what you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you don't throw a running dog in with a bunch of track style dogs and
No.
expect miracles. It's going to be a track style dog too. They're training it.
I went
So
exactly through that. I
yeah,
remember at JC's, did you go over to the Cat Hunters
I
gathering?
I went to the gathering one year. The
Man,
last
that
year he
was
had it,
cool.
I believe.
I keep busting his
It
chops. We need to put another one on.
Yeah, that was a cool. I went twice, and yeah, it was a lot of fun down there. Just met a lot more people,
Yeah,
that I'd never met, I'd heard of, and
from all over.
yeah.
Arkansas, I
I
mean,
never went that year where
oh
it
man.
was really big. It was more Oregon people, a few California people the couple
Hmm.
of years that I went.
Yeah, it turned into
But
a pretty big deal. But I remember I was talking with somebody there, and I said, I really want to try this different style of dog because I'm always going to notoriously be known for having blue dogs, like
yeah,
forever. And I said, well, I don't want to throw one in because it's not going to do me any good. Like,
yeah,
one of these and four of these is going to equal a giant pain in the butt
yeah.
shit show every time we go out. And I
All
remember,
you get is especially if you're running bears, one that might be a little faster with its head up,
right,
and it runs out there and bays the bear, and then when the bear hears the other ones coming, it pushes it to where you can never get in there and do
right,
anything. So you know
yeah,
you can't get no pressure on them.
no,
So
it makes a lot of sense. I mean, in pack dynamics, I think is something newer people coming in. They, as much as you can know, but until you're in the situations and can see the big differences there,
hmm
like pressure is everything. It's not even speed, right?
yeah,
Like I think it's pressure
and if they
that
can
catches
avoid the
game.
pressure, I don't care how fast your pack is coming behind that front one. If that thing can break and run,
Hmm.
get 400 or 500 yards ahead, and
You're gonna be there all day,
it never gets the real pressure. If it's in the kind of country where they can't get on it. Once they all get on it, they'll stay on it.
right?
But yeah, that was something that I battled with too, and uh, and and a lot helped too was the technology.
Right.
With our old what we call them beep beep collars. The best year I can remember is, I think, was probably like 38, 40 bears, and then
Which is pretty good.
hunting multiple states and uh around, and yeah, it's really good. Um but the year that the GPS collar came out, I went and bought one with 3 collars and was still running the other stuff with it all the time. I went from, I think I caught 34 that year before, with the last year I had just the
The beaver,
telemetry, uh to 76.
isn't that crazy?
Just so much driving around time gone.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember when it all, like when I first started selling GPS gear and guys were like him hawing around about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I will promise you it will pay for itself in fuel the first season you hunt.
Well, now it's $6 a gallon, so I'm pretty glad it's around.
Way quicker.
At first, the one thing I did see a change in was, the guys who were buying dogs, and I don't have anything against guys who are buying dogs, because if they ain't buying them, I ain't selling them.
Right.
But uh, they were getting the technology and going right back. And a lot of, like I was saying, my grandpa liked the gimme dogs. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of the best dogs we had were guys that went out and lost their dogs 3 or 4 times and said, "No, I ain't doing this."
Right.
And we got a lot of good dogs that way, and that disappeared
Yep.
as soon as the GPS came out.
They can see what's going
And they could
on.
see what's going on right where their dog is. They can get home for dinner.
It's kind of nice.
It's really nice, and that stopped.
Yeah.
But hey, I enjoy it now too, especially now that I'm a family
I was
man.
going to say, you got a yard full of kids now.
Yeah, and but yeah, now touching back on making those dogs and stuff. The one thing I did do is when I think I was 9 years old, I had a little red bone female and thought she was super cool. My grandpa traded her
Oh,
for a
no.
registered Walker female, but I loved that one just as much. Her name was Susie, and she was a registered Finley River Walker.
Oh.
And I talked him into letting. He had an old red dog, and I talked him into letting me breed to her. And she wasn't much. She was about as slick treeing of a dog as you could ever freaking have.
Oh,
And
man.
he knew it, and he, whatever, Yeah, we'll have some puppies, and so we had them, and that's where my old heartache dog came from whenever I was a kid. And Stuart Aller had a litter, or not Stuart. I gave a pup to my uncle Ted, and he sold it to Stuart. And the dog's name was Copper, but they changed his name to Docker when they bought him.
Mm.
And uh, I know not a lot of people can say it, but every dog I own except for one goes back to my first cross I made whenever I was 9 years old.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and a lot of it was because Stuart had that Docker dog and bred to him. We only ever had one litter of puppies out of Heartache, and it was an accident. But all the puppies turned out, and Uncle Ted had uh, Blackbird, and Wes Craddock had Jewel, and they had another one that they sold to Stuart named Dove,
Mm.
and they were all out of Heartache, and they bred those dogs. And even though, I went through school and did sports and everything like that, so when I wasn't hunting, they kind of kept it.
Sure.
So that whenever I got back into it and was getting or hunting with my grandpa, the same stuff came back around to me. And since I've, decided to be a houndsman and do it seriously,
That's
I
really
have
cool.
I have been able to keep that.
Yeah, I would say not many people can say that.
Yeah, I'm coming 38 years old in August, and I can say I've been raising these dogs for 30 years.
Isn't that insane? You're getting old,
Yeah,
Wes.
it's really far from it. The dogs I have right now, I've actually been raising for about 10 years.
Yeah,
The line of dogs that I like and that I run, and I'll continue to have them.
for sure.
Very high success rate. Very little game gets away now.
What
So.
is it about them? I mean, what is it that just gets you fired up about
I
these?
mean, their heads down when they have to be, and their heads up when they
Like
need to be.
smart enough to put it down.
And I don't know exactly what the difference is. There's a lot of speed there, and
Yeah,
again, and they have good noses. A lot of speed and good noses. They're nice built.
they
Uh,
are good looking.
yeah, and I mean I can go to I hunt hard country too, and uh, they do really well in it. A lot of blowdown. I hunt in a lot of blowdown country. That's
And
steep.
big blowdown too, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's not little
well, both,
trees.
and reprod and stuff like that. But they just get around good. And I mean, maybe the game's not as hard as some places that I've hunted,
Yeah,
but it keeps the dogs in shape. And when they're in shape, it'd take something pretty impressive to get away.
right,
Bobcats, they're kind of tricky. Everyone slides by them every once
right.
in a while, and especially if you're not hunting them. This year our boy, I think he wrestled 60-some wrestling matches
That's
throughout the winter,
insane.
so I didn't catch much game, but uh, I did catch what I turned loose on.
Right.
So
Well,
yeah,
and that's the
I had a
facts,
couple
though.
slide through the cracks, but not much, So I go out, even if it's just a couple hours late at night, throw them in and take off out there and find a track, and at least get something caught and
Sure.
get some puppies worked.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, and that's something that changes too once you do get a really solid pack of dogs too. It's not even that much fun to just take them out and catch some. You have to have a puppy there
Right. You got to mess with it.
that you get to see doing something. Is it? I've seen Boyd and Neva tree a pile of game. That's not irregular, but seeing one of those puppies spark
Sure.
off, or even we had a bear come across the road and I dumped the box that they were after this year in Idaho, and I seen one of our puppies that had never been on anything in his life run down the road to where that bear crossed and just throw his head up in the air and let out a big old bawl and then jump over the bank after it and
Oh, that's
get to the
goosebumps.
tree. Yeah, get to the tree, and I mean he's just chopping them off
Racking
as
them
hard
off.
as one can. Never seen nothing a day in his life, and
That's awesome.
yeah, that's what it's all about, and
For sure.
yeah, hopefully, him and his litter mates will turn into the same kind of dogs as their parents. But
And those are the same. You're running those dogs on bears out of state. You're running them on cats here.
yeah,
Are you hunting mainly snow or dry ground or a combination?
I catch a few, mainly snow, but I catch a few dry ground.
Yeah.
I just went and roaded my dogs the other night, and it was pouring down rain like it was all day here today, maybe worse. And
Mm-hmm.
got to a tree, they all run off and got to the tree, and they had a cat treed. So it's
Oh, geez.
they've done they do pretty well. If there's something around, they'll find it.
Did you have to do? I mean, do you do anything to get them ready to go over? Like, because you're not running bears all the time.
They
Like,
seem to just transfer. They know that they like them, so I mean they transfer over when they
that's
smell when they strike it. They do here too. I
right.
mean, but we try to keep it bare minimum.
Oh, yeah.
Don't want to get in trouble and lose what you love to do. So
No,
we
and when
got we
it's
got we got permits this year, and hopefully we can continue to get them. And if not, we'll go somewhere else.
yeah,
Losing California was a hard one.
right. See,
Yeah.
I was only hunting for like 2 years. I got 2 years at California Bear Camp, and then they outlawed it.
Oh, really? You
Yeah, just
started in
about the time I got
2010?
bit. I started in 2010. I
Oh.
started going in 2009, and then I had dogs for, well, I wouldn't say I had dogs. I carried dogs around for 2 years, and I got two bear down in California, and then they outlawed it. So
Oh,
it
yeah. I
was
started going down there, I think, in 2006. So I got several.
like that NorCal,
I hunted, at the beginning, we didn't really know where we were hunting over there. I do now.
right?
But a guy, me and Logan Bailey and Chris Egberg and Chad West all decided we were just going to go to California and go hunting. We heard that we could drive to Redding and buy our tags over the counter.
Yep.
So we loaded up what we called a lion cage. It was a dog box that held about 20 dogs on Logan's flatbed dually, and we put his Toyota on a flatbed
Oh man.
pickup and towed it down there. And we were sitting in the parking lot in Redding, and an old boy named Stan Dill was out there. Boy, you never met a nicer guy, and he kind of just gave us a list of some places we could catch some bears.
Nice.
He said it's rough. I mean, he didn't give us the best places. I found more of the places he enjoys later on in life, I
Yeah,
think. But
right.
he sent us down to Fender's Ferry, and the first 2 days we were there, we killed 300 plus bears, and
Dang.
it was a great experience, for all of us. And
There's some big bears that grow. Like in
oh
some of
man,
those regions, it is insane. Like, in some places, a mature bear, you're looking 200 is a good
oh
bear,
yeah, up in northern Idaho,
right?
that's a really good one,
And then you get down in there. Like I remember talking, I was part of the Siskiyou Houndsman for a while,
Yeah,
and
they got some big ones in there, but the really big
man,
ones are up there where they have like that Oak Creek Bill trial up there
yeah,
off of Grindstone and
massive
Stony
bears.
Ford bears. I caught one up there with a old boy one day that uh we measured it. We couldn't, of course, get it out whole.
Sure.
Who knows how big it was. I hate to even throw weights around because people are like, oh, whatever. But
Right.
it was 8'4" from nose to butt.
Dang.
Yeah.
Dude, that is a stud.
Yeah, it was like a dinosaur. I couldn't hardly. I had to take a picture of its head in my lap. I had to get its head up and put my legs underneath of it. I couldn't pick up just its head enough to set it
Right.
on my lap, you know.
That's insane.
Yeah, it was big, and
Chocolate bear or color phased or black?
you know, it was a color faced bear. Yeah, it was more of a more cinnamon colored bear, but it didn't have no hair on it. That brush is so thick over there. It looked like a giant rat.
Oh yeah, it beats it off of them.
Yeah, it was gnarly looking bear, but
I know, like down in there, we saw a lot of color phase.
yeah, there's, and I think that there's, I don't know about most places. I think have quite a few different. I know. I see a lot. New Mexico seems to have quite a few different colored bears, and I haven't went down there bear hunting. I've been down there a couple times cougar hunting, but
yeah,
yeah, I plan on going back down there again one of these days. But I don't know. I keep having kids. I might not.
Yeah, right. I know. I wish we could get it back. That was pulling out of camp because it was one family pretty much that I hunted with.
Yeah.
And then some friends, and I found out that one of them was hunting with my great uncle, who I didn't know had dogs until way after I got into it. And, you know, it was just like this big family thing, you know, Dutch oven stacked 4 high. And, you know, this is the closest thing that I feel to that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, pulling in here and seeing Boyer and, you know, a lot of these people, Rick Shaw, that I don't see all that often. Like I get to talk to him, but like here it's real. Like you're sitting in,
for sure.
You're bullshitting until shoot. We were up till 2 a.m. last night, I think.
Yeah,
you know, and just catching up and talking dogs, and you know who's that out of, and it starts a whole story of like next thing you know, you got 10 generations of a hound dog that you're looking at, and it took 3 guys to piece it together, kind of deal.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you know, even me and you sitting here talking right now, we can venture away from an original question real easy.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So yeah, it's these are fun, and I enjoy the field trials. You know, there for a long time I was like, oh, you know, they take away from my hunting, and all different kinds of. I always had I don't like them, this and that. Well, you know, your
perspective changes a little, doesn't it?
It definitely does, and I know that I wish I would have went to more of them with my grandpa when he was around. You know, there was, but I skipped out on this one because I was doing this or doing this. And
right.
Now I just, you know, I'm doing with my kids what he did with us, and you know, my dad had dogs too, and they hauled us around to this stuff. And,
that's really cool.
You know, so whenever, you know, my daughter Charlie, she's 2, running around here, and I was 2 years old. There's actually a story about me when I was 2 years old, freaking going in front of everybody in the auction circle and taking a dump. And they called my Uncle Ted up next, and he came into the auction circle and freaking stepped in it. And
oh no! Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so you know, we've been getting hauled around to these for a long time, and I hope to teach this other generation. Hopefully, they're interested enough, you know, in doing something like this when they're older, because it is a lot of work.
Yeah, but look at the fun they're having. I mean, there's probably a dozen kids running around.
Oh yeah, I had fun like that when I was a kid too, and they're still fun, but they're work. You know, there's no doubt about it. That, you know.
Oh, you guys busted your butt for this one.
Oh,
like it ran so smooth today. It was really, really nice.
You have to bust your butt to get them to run smooth. Yeah. And you know, you might make a person mad here and there, but you know, you have to also remind them, hey, we're here to have fun.
Right.
We're here to have a good time.
Yeah, but this is so family oriented. I mean,
it is.
You got married here last year.
Yeah, I did.
At the field trial.
We just had a gender reveal about an hour ago.
Right? You having another boy, right?
Yeah, we are. We're having a baby boy.
And then, you know, all the kids are running around. It's just, I like this kind of stuff. I think it's really cool. And they're growing up. I mean, they're not complaining.
No.
They've been cold and wet all day, right?
Yeah, and I haven't heard anybody cry about that.
No.
So
not at all. So your daughter Charlie, I gotta ask, is there a story behind that? And did you ever collect $100 bill?
A
Has
story.
Charlie Johnson ever talked to you?
Oh no, I don't even want to know what.
Oh
He
man,
told you.
for a while. No, he said something about, anybody names their kid Charlie, I'll give him $100 bill.
Oh no, he didn't. You ever bring
Call
that
him.
up? Oh, I talk to him about 3-4 times a week.
We'll
So,
tell him Doobie says he owes. I think he was paying $100 if you named your kid Charlie.
but my grandpa Kenneth Craddock, his real first name was Charles.
Oh, gotcha.
We all go by our middle names,
Sure.
or not all of us, but he did, and me and my brother do, and we haven't decided if Charlie's going to yet or not. Her middle name's Rumor. We like that too, so she comes to whatever we holler at her. So.
And we got a birthday party going on here for
Yeah,
your
my
other.
boy, and yeah, he hit double digits.
That's awesome.
So we had a picture of him with his hound photo screen printed or whatever onto a cake.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, he's having a good day. I haven't had to get on to him much at all. So.
Well, it's not over yet. Tomorrow, what, you're running bear race
and the 3-dog pack
and
race.
a 3-dog pack race, which
And that's it.
I don't know if they do those anywhere. I mean, I've seen a couple of them in Idaho, and I think Nevada was running them. But basically, I mean, break down the rules. You enter 3 dogs.
Yeah, three dogs, and they don't have to all be yours. We have guys match up and make groups of dogs. But you take them up the starting line, and whoever's starting the dogs has a radio, and guy has a stopwatch at the tree, and you just pretty much 3, 2, 1, go.
Boom.
And the guy starts the stopwatch, and they have to all run the track and qualify. And when the third dog barks treed, they stop the clock. So all 3 dogs have to bark.
So you could beat them by minutes, and if that last dog doesn't bark, you're sitting there till it barks, or you run out of time.
Until you lost, it only pays 1 spot. That's why it only pays 1 spot, because somebody will sit around there for 5, 10 minutes wanting that other dog to bark, and you kind of have to tell them, "Nah, go ahead and get them. You're already 30 seconds past time. Grab them, get out here, hiss them, and let them tree, and
move on
to the next group, because it can be time consuming when you're only running one guy's 3 dogs at a time, and a fresh drag for every group."
Yep.
I think the most we've had is 9 groups of dogs in La Grande last year, and it takes some time to run 9 drags. But there is no auction or Calcutta for them, which we could. I've thought about signing up the night before and just having people Calcutta on first, second, third.
You'd have to do it the day before.
Yeah.
You'd have to run them all, I think, to get it done.
Yeah.
Because by the time your drag boys come back in,
you're
getting people shuttled in trucks. And
yeah, this is nice being able to see 500 yards across, because you can see the drag boy coming and get everybody loaded up and taken off to turn them loose to where most of them, the drag's back at camp before you're sending the people off. So that helps keep things rolling too. Drag boys in, go.
Well, it went really smooth. If anybody's looking for a good trial, like a good time, check out the Prineville trial next year. Second weekend in June usually, right?
It's almost always the second weekend of June, and then we have the OUSDA La Grande Field trial too.
That's coming up in September or August?
It's in August. We do that the weekend before bow season every year. So this year it's the 20th and 21st.
Smart.
So that's a really good one too. We do that one too, and we have OUSDA help with that one too. But I go there and kind of field marshal that one too, just try to help keep things running smooth.
Sure.
But yeah, it's a good one too. We've had that one in that spot for like 20 years too, so it's kind of more of a traditional one. This is the first year we've had this one here. We've moved lots of times in Prineville.
Mm-hmm.
We always have a field trial, but we have one in one spot for 4 or 5 years, and then we lose it.
Bounce it.
Yeah, and like the other spot we had, they went and the trails we used, they put no motorized vehicle on them, so we had to can that spot too. And
that was just down the road, wasn't it? It wasn't that far.
Yeah, it was like 10 miles from here.
That's what I was thinking coming in here. I thought it was farther down the road, but
not much.
Yeah,
not much further. But no, this is good. Pretty green spot.
Oh
big
no,
pine
it's gorgeous.
Trees, and they've done a good job, keeping it clean and thinning it through here, so you can see a long ways through the trees. It's kind of parkish. So.
Well, awesome, man. I know you got a lot going on. I know it's your kid's birthday, so I really appreciate you taking a break and
no problem.
catching up. We'll do it again sometime, and
for sure.
I love hearing stories about your family. I mean, dyed-in-the-wool hound hunters are a dying breed.
Oh yeah, I got lots of them too. You know, still try to sneak out with my Uncle Ted every once in
You
a
got
while.
one good Ted story, just because people can relate. They've heard Ted. They've heard us talk
I
about him.
can't. I have a really good Ted story. Yeah, we can put this in with you guys' traditional
Train wreck?
train wreck.
Yes.
It's train wreck for me, not for him. I call it a shit show.
Yeah, we're good with that too.
Yeah. So I go hunting with him. I went over to his house and we hopped in. This was back when I had my old Yeller dog and stuff out of his old dogs, and we had a split race and had two bears treed in two different places, and we decided to go to some down in a thicket first and get them. We could actually walk to the other tree from that one, so we were kind of just running a loop, picking up all the dogs on one loop, and we were collecting the dogs and tying them up, trying to get back to the other tree, and the bear started to come down, and my Yeller dog slipped his collar and ran underneath the tree. I ran under there to grab him because I thought the bear was going to bail, and I didn't want him to run it again and start all over. And I run under the tree and grab him, and this bear just releases all over the top of me. I don't know, about 15 pounds of blackberries.
Oh yeah.
And
they don't warn you about that either, though. No. Nobody warns you about that.
You know, at that time, you know, I was probably about 26 or 27, maybe a little older, I don't know. But I was furious. I was so mad.
Oh.
I mean, it was showered over my shoulders and everything.
It's like berry crap. It's different.
Oh, it turned my shirt purple.
Splattered in it. Yeah. Gross.
And I'm sitting there mad, cussing, and not letting go of my dog. And I hear, "Hey, Wes." And I turn around, look over my shoulder, and my Uncle Ted's sitting there with his camera out, and he goes, "You just got bear stooled," and clicked a picture of me.
That's awesome.
He thought that was the funniest thing ever.
Oh man, that's good. You got the picture? Someone's got to have it.
I have pictures of it somewhere, and I know he probably has. He takes so many pictures. Yeah. It'll turn up again one day, I'm sure. He gave them to me at one point, but he's got the negatives somewhere. Then he had a picture of me with Yeller and my other dog, Wilson, I remember I had a California Houndsman hat, the ones that had the bear tracks across the bill. I'm sure everybody that ever went to Elk Creek left with.
Sure.
And it turned that hat from tan to purple, and I washed it like 3 times in the dishwasher, and it remained purple forever. But I liked it, so I had to wear it again.
Yeah. If you've never been crapped on by a bear, I mean, you haven't really lived.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think I could have made without it, but
you won't forget it, though.
I'll never forget it the rest of I'll never forget looking over
Neither will Ted.
Looking over my shoulder and him holding that old 35mm camera with a 10-inch lens on it. And
that's awesome.
Just he was about to cry. He was laughing so hard. So
wow. That's awesome, man.
But
well, let's go get warmed up.
Yeah, let's go hit that campfire up. I just seen the boys came in with my Chevy with another load of wood. So.
Oh, there we go. Let's go warm up, man. Thanks again, Wes.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thank you. Yeah, this was fun. So.
All right.
Bye.